Hello, thank you for joining the Ecosystem Summit, hosted by the Mills Fabrica and our two close partners, MTR and MIT Hong Kong Innovation Nerd. I'm Maggie Look, the Incubation and Ecosystem Lead at the Mills Fabrica. Hope that all of you are having a good week and enjoying the Start Me Up Hong Kong Festival 2020. Today, in our summit, there will be 3 sessions. We'll be discussing about developing entrepreneurial talents, growing corporate innovation, and Hong Kong's competitive advantage as a global innovation hub. And welcome to the first session, where we'll be discussing about nurturing talents. And now I would like to pass it over to Marina Chen, the Director of Education at MIT Hong Kong Innovation Nerd. Marina, over to you.
Great, thank you very much, Maggie, and thank you very much to Start Me Up HK. This is day 4 of the Start Me Up HK Festival, and we're glad to be co-hosting this with the Mills and also the MTR. So my name is Marina Chen, the Director of Education at the MIT Node. We strive to develop entrepreneurial talent through immersive programs, to develop the mindsets, and really to try to bring more opportunities for youth of today. And so I'm glad to also bring in wonderful panelists here to really discuss some of these issues, some of the challenges and some of the best practices that we can all implement to really nurture entrepreneurial talent that will be ready for the new economy. So first of all, we've got Rachel Chan online. She is a consultant with decades of experience with both public and private sector. So I'd like to have her do a quick intro first, and we'll go through Rachel, followed by the on-site panelists. So Rachel, over to you. Can we have someone unmute Rachel, please? So Rachel, we can't hear you. Yes.
3 or 10 years ago, I worked together with Raymond on youth entrepreneurship program. So I'm very happy to join this panel this morning and talk more about how we can nurture talents for our startup ecosystem.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you, Rachel. And over to my right, we've got Raymond Xu from the Polytechnic University.
Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Raymond. I'm the Assistant Director of the Institute for Entrepreneurship of the Hong Kong Polytechnic University, PolyU in short. Our institute is actually an non-academic department responsible for nurturing entrepreneurs as well as trying to help our students, alumni, and faculties to commercialize the technology through providing education, funding, and different types of supports.
Great. And Kosby.
Hi everyone, I'm Kosby, Vice President of Innovation and Ecosystem Department at DBS Bank Hong Kong. So my department is responsible for accelerating innovation inside the bank by running the startup program called Startup Exchange right now, and also including forming some ecosystem partnership with external partners. And of course, this also includes helping the bank to build fintech talent pipeline.
Great.
Okay.
Anvil from...
Good morning, everyone. This is Anvil from Hong Kong Science and Technology Park. Actually, we are the Hong Kong largest innovation and technology community. So every day what we do is we connect the dots for the success of our entrepreneur with various kind of resources, all the way from the nurturing, from business matching, and also how to transform their idea to something people really want. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Thank you to all our panelists. So as we explored this very important topic, and how do we see the entrepreneurial mindset, I'd like to pose individual questions to each panelist first before we open up to roundtable discussions. So the first question will go to Rachel online on Zoom. We can have her unmuted, please. So Rachel, through your deep engagement with both public and private sectors, what are some of the key skills that you think are important to develop for the new economy?
I think there are 3 major areas. Actually, in the last 10 years, we've been doing a lot of ecosystem development studies. And invariably, these three main themes come back again. The first one, obviously, we need an education system that can nurture entrepreneurial talents, people who are willing to take, people who are not afraid of failures, and obviously people who can collaborate to create innovative solutions. But that's probably for the long haul. And for talents, if we talk about an ecosystem, diversity is also very important. So apart from nurturing local talents, we also need to attract talents from around the world to the ecosystem in Hong Kong. And I'm here today also because of my capacity as co-founder of Esperanza. It is an NGO, and we are now running a startup fellowship program for education technology startups from around the world, including Hong Kong. And we believe that it's very important to foster partnership between local and international talents, because nowadays there's no boundary. You can work 24 hours a day with people from different parts of the world. And it's also about building connections and relationships around the world. So second point is international talents. And third point is this collaboration between local and international talents. And these are the three fundamental factors. And last but not least, this probably is not so much related to talent directly, but it will play a very important role. It's about creating demand for innovation. And with this, I'm going to say what it is. It can help us to attract and retain talents. And by creating demand, I mean we need business, we need the government to be willing to experiment, to work with startups, give them opportunities to pilot, to try new solutions. And this probably is the most important factor if we really want to attract and retain talents in the ecosystem. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rachel. Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. There is that real need to really bring that demand and also to, to promote innovation and be able to retain that talent in a meaningful way. So with that, I'd like to pass this question to Kosby. So, part of DBS Bank's, strategy and mission is to nurture this talent from both local and international parties. So how is your organization doing this, and what methods and what modalities? How are you looking to build and bridge this fintech talent?
Yep, thanks, Marina. I think for fintech, it has been a really hot topic for these years, right? And then for the bank, as I'm in the bank, I can feel that there's a very intense competition that a lot of fintech company startup coming up and then trying to kind of replace or do what a traditional bank can do. And actually all of them are entrepreneurs. They have this entrepreneurial spirit that a bank really needs, actually. So for DBS Bank, we understand this. We cannot develop at the beginning, we cannot develop just by internally. We need to collaborate outside with other fintech startups, and in order to learn something from them. So in 2015, we are the first bank to run the accelerator program called DBS Accelerator. And then I think from last year, we changed it to a startup exchange, but the purpose is still the same. We would like to collaborate with fintech startup to solve a business problem. And then this is the one purpose. And other purpose is it's also a good chance for our staff to actually look at what is the fintech development outside. So we invite all the fintech startup coming into the DBS Bank and then showcase their capability to all the business unit. So I think since 2015 until now, 2020, I see some internally, I see some changes of the behavior, which is at the beginning, the business unit may be not very interested in looking at the fintech startup, but right now they generate idea by themselves, and then
actively looking for our department to help them to, hey, do you have any fintech startup to introduce? We want to solve this problem. So this change, I think, is actually can demonstrate how the entrepreneurial spirit kind of grow inside DBS as well. And for developing fintech talent, I think for ourselves, we have some program in-house. For example, just for one example is we have this entrepreneurship program just rolling out in DBS that we encourage all the staff to submit their ideas. Even the idea is not, originate from their own department. He can also have ideas on consumer bank, corporate bank. It's also okay. And then we will give them funding to actually do the POC. I think this is what we want to do, is to ask them to learn from failure, because it won't be all the time. It won't be everything won't be success at the beginning. But I think it's good to try for internal staff. And for external staff, for external talents, we also work very closely with university, like our close partner, CUHK, or also MIT. We work very closely. We would like to provide some real-world challenge to the student, because I understand from academic area, you have a lot of program to nurture the entrepreneurships, right? So, but they need some place to actually use the skill. So I think what we can do is to provide some real world problem for the student to work on, and then to build business case based on that business challenge. I think this is how we want to support the talents.
Great, thank you, Kosby. That's great to hear, especially when it comes to entrepreneurial mindset change. That's very much a cultural thing at an organizational level. So it's great to hear that you have these entrepreneurship programs in place to give exposure to internal staff and also connecting them to the real world, as you say. So you also mentioned about tertiary education. So I'd like to then move on to Raymond, the Associate Director for the Institute for Entrepreneurship at PolyU. So I understand that your team also works diligently over the past few years, really bringing this talent up to speed with those entrepreneurial skills that are much needed. Could you elaborate a little bit on that?
Sure. Thank you, Marina. As I said, at our Department Institute for Entrepreneurship, one of our main focus and responsibilities is to nurture entrepreneurs from our students, alumni, and faculties. We have a lot of initiatives, and since 2011, first of all, our main focus, and I think that the most important spirit for us is that entrepreneurship education, you cannot just teach them within classroom. So it's much more about experiential and action-based learning. So we have put a lot of emphasis on that, and we teach them to get out of the campus by practicing entrepreneurs in order to learn entrepreneurship. So we provide a lot of seed grants for them since 2011. Let's say like Poly Micro Fund, providing them some money so that they can kickstart their startups. And by going through the whole process, it doesn't necessarily mean that they would be successful, but even like failure, they learn from failure. They can learn from the lessons and then try it once again. Or even at the end of the day, they want to go back to a career at the corporate. It doesn't matter, because they have learned a lot, they grow a lot exponentially throughout that period of time. And that could become like an entrepreneur that is much needed in this dynamic changing world of business environment. And we also provide some proof of concept grants to students still studying at university. We understand that students may not be able to really create a startup while they're studying at university. So we provide these small lump sum of money for them to extend their classroom learning outside in the real world, so that they can continue, let's say, bring their final year project, bring their classwork project or coursework, and then to build the prototype, and then to test the market, to validate the idea, so that they can learn from the real world instead of just learning in the classroom. And also last year, we created a new program at the GBA, which is called Startup Immersion and Internship Program, which we provide an opportunity for our students to actually go through a 7-week program during the summer. And then we put them under a multicultural environment because it's not just PolyU. We put them together with Shenzhen University, together with another 6 universities from the world, which also echo what Rachel said. We want them to bring talents not just from Hong Kong, and then we bring them to GBA. We also bring talents from overseas, and we provide them a team-based collaboration environment. They need to work as a team to come up with an idea, while in the meantime, our students will have an internship opportunities at startups in Shenzhen, so that they have like practical learning during the internship, but as well they learn together with other students. We have like bootcamp, we have workshops, and then they team up and think of an idea and project, and at the end they need to pitch. So this is all these type of things is we are trying to use the spirit, as I said, like all these action-based experiential learning, and help them to not just, when what they have learned in the university is very important, but they need to apply, as what also Kosby said. We want them to put it in the real world, test what you have think about, test what you have learned, and then because the real world battle is outside, not within the campus.
Thank you, Raymond. I think you brought some really key points about, practicing entrepreneurship as opposed to just learning entrepreneurship, and really exposing students to not just what's happening in the Hong Kong ecosystem, but also Greater Bay Area, because we do know there's a lot of potential for innovation, rapid acceleration of innovation, and also the seed funding. I think that also is very important. We know that for students, they're really just learning about what it takes to build a startup, or even just developing that mindset, but having that bit of seed capital can go a long way. So moving on to that, with Anvil, I know that with Science Park, you work on leading the LEAP program and to accelerate startups, either coming from universities or professional startup firms. So just curious just to learn more about your take on it, and what do you see as the key ingredient to really help nurture these young startups?
First of all, before I start, I would like to follow up on Kosby's answer. If in Hong Kong we have more corporate like DBS, it will make our life more easier. Okay, and going back to Marina's question is when we talk about how to support entrepreneurs, how to support startup, many people first will think about funding. But indeed, this is one of the issue, but actually it's not the most important one. The question changes from time to time. When we first roll out our incubation program years earlier, people, all the startup focus on asking for funding. And then we resolve this by linking up, we build our VC pool. We also set up our own investment vehicle in Science Park. And then people saying that, hey, I need more business. So we collaborate with DBS. We collaborate with different kind of big corporate in Hong Kong, such that we engage the need of the corporate need to bring it to the startup community. We put the two sides together, the buy side and sell side, such that they can communicate the same platform. And then we resolve this. And then we're moving on, we find that the most core question actually is on the talent. Where do we find the right talent? Whether the entrepreneur have the experience to move on different stage from one to the early to later to the growth stage. So actually in Science Park, we offer an all-rounded program to helping them to helping the entrepreneur from the concept, build their first product to going beyond Hong Kong. Through this program, we offer not just the funding. Indeed, we are quite, we offer the resources we offer is quite substantial. If a young startup who start from the concept stage to the expansion stage, actually we offer them we could offer them almost up to 6 million Hong Kong dollar. But what's more important, we think, is that we bring in the support that they need at different stage. For those concept stage company, we offer a program, especially for entrepreneur to be. The target is the research or the graduate from university. We give them the seed money, also the chance to do the MVP and prototyping. From there, they know whether what they need is really complete or well considered. And then for those people who would like to move on to start their own business, we offer the incubation program. It's a 2 year to 3 year, it's a 2 to 3 years program. From there, we offer the practical industrial support to them. We're also linking up them for their business opportunity. From there, we hope that they complete their first product and then start to making revenue. From there, we also see that some very, very high potential company, which is the star for Hong Kong. So we offer the acceleration program. We offer them the one-on-one advisory as well as nurturing to help them complete their expansion plan. That's how the growth plan for the company in Hong Kong, they can see it from Science Park.
Thank you, Anvil. Yeah, it sounds very comprehensive and very much tailored to the individual startups or the project teams at different stages of development. And yeah, all the best with that. So the other question I have for all the panelists is really, especially in light of the pandemic, we've seen so many changes, which presents both challenges and also opportunities. So I'd like to pose this question, starting with Rachel first. What if we're to think about next steps? What do you think we can do to really kind of, reboot this startup ecosystem? What are some kind of practical next steps that you think we should all think about?
Very good question, Marina. I think the pandemic has really illustrated.
This question is going to Rachel. Thank you.
I think the pandemic has really illustrated the importance of different stakeholders working together in this very special time. And under the current situation, it's even more important for educators, for business people, for government people to join forces together to experiment new projects that can help us to live in a better way, a more sustainable way in the future. So personally, I really see that the pandemic has made us rethink what should be the priorities for us in terms of new industries, new solutions. What are the very fundamental human needs that we need to address in a very different way through entrepreneurs, through innovators? This could be education, could be healthcare, could be food supply, and obviously environment as well. So it would be great if organizations like Kosby, DBS, like Science Park, different key stakeholders in the ecosystem can really drum up this key message. Going forward, if we want a really sustainable world, what kind of solutions, what kind of sectors really need more innovation so that we can lead a better life? Do we need more fast fashion? Do we need more things that may not be that relevant now? So this is something that we need to think about.
Thank you, Rachel. This is a call to action for entrepreneurs to step up and solve tough problems. Who would like to go next?
Maybe I try to address this first. In Science Park, we have over 400 companies. They are in startup field. When we talk to the corporate, sometimes they are not easy to adopt new solution. Indeed, we believe change behind is lead cause. However, this pandemic situation actually gives a very good scenario for the corporate. We think change is always needed. Of course, the pandemic have impacted certain startup or the whole economy, but indeed giving the chance for some very unique company too. For example, we have a company, they are doing the logistic, the handling the ordering of different shipment. What they offer is a 24/7 service. In BAU time, Hong Kong is so efficient, people do not need it. But in the pandemic period, because many offices shut down, but the cargo, the goods still need to transport to different kind of the world. So it gives a very unique position for this company and link up with the need of the corporate. Indeed, the business is doing exponential growth in this period of time. So in this pandemic period, it gives a chance for the corporate to rethink change is always needed.
And the urgency is more obvious these days, right? Kosby.
Yeah, I very agree with the previous opinions, because in the pandemic, everything is keep changing, and including banks. People don't want to go to branch, and how can we digitize the whole things? And then I think this require really innovation mindset that, okay, the previous way doesn't work anymore. How can, what's new thing can we bring in? So I think for corporate, I think it's always good to provide a safe space for student or even internal staff to test their own ideas. Even if is a failure, is okay, because we learn something from the failure. So I think giving more exposure to the, and also more, how to say, a tolerance to the failure, experiment more, because without experiment, we really do not know whether this idea works or not. So I think as a corporate, internally, we can run more programs like entrepreneurship things, but we also not just celebrate the success, but also celebrate the failure. That is okay. You learn this before, you learn this time, and then you can do better next time. And also for external, for student, I think what we can do is to provide, again, do more a program that provide real world business challenge for those students to learn. So before they graduate, they already have the experience working in business, knowing what business care about, knowing what's the industry pain point is. So when they graduate, they are more prepared to whether they start their own business or even join in the corporate world.
Thanks, Kosby. Yeah, so what you said, is a great opportunity for corporates to really create this sandbox of experimentation for both staff and external parties to really engage and, be able to sort of make impact and, leverage this innovation mindset.
I know it's time for Q&A, but let me drop a quick comment on that. As education institutions, probably the pandemic may create a paradigm shift in terms of like how to deliver tertiary education. Like, as you know, like all our classes are turning to online in the past few months. And then, as I said, it creates even more trouble for us if we want to, as I emphasize, that we want to create a very experiential and action-based learning environment. It is very difficult to do it online. So, well, it's trying to, but it also put us into a new opportunity to experience maybe some different types of model, like putting online and then hybrid with online for more knowledge disseminations, but then we retain certain types of physical interactions to create that type of interactive learning environment. And then through online, it also creates an opportunity not just learn within a very limited local environment. We can create a program that can link up with outside Hong Kong, like connect to international. We have an upcoming program that we are going to collaborate with Taiwan incubators by the end of July. So that exemplify some future opportunity that we may open up because of these pandemic.
Thank you, Raymond. Yeah, those are really interesting points about this hybrid learning and a new way to learn, both at the tertiary level and also through the continuum of professional education as well. So now I'd like to switch over to our audience Q&A. If there's any questions you'd like to pose, and also through the online chat as well. So please raise your hand if you're an online audience, and then our team here will unmute you to ask your questions. So why don't I kick off with a quick roundtable primer first. So after hearing many of your comments about digitization, also this move towards online, and we also see with the pandemic, this is the trend that people are engaging online, people are being used to it. So there is that behavior change as well. I'm just curious to hear your thoughts. Do you see a rise in online services and perhaps investment in some of these new ways of engaging and business innovations online?
Can I make the comment first?
Kosby,
Yeah, of course. For bank, obviously, is a way to go. And given so many competition, even from the virtual banks, they do not have branch. And what we want to do is to also want to provide an online way for the customer to engage with us rather than from branch traditionally or sending in physical document. I mean, all this we internally keep improving and want to really streamline the whole process all online. And this is really the way to go. But as we just mentioned, for this, we need to rethink the whole process actually. Really require some new way of thinking and then to, and also you maybe is brave enough or to break the status quo. So these kind of talents, we really want them in the bank, of course. I think, so that's why the digitization and the transformation, the whole surface to online, these kind of things really require people with that entrepreneurial mindset. So that's why we really want to play a part to train this kind of talents. Yeah.
To basically shake things up and really transform the organization. Great, yeah. How about from an education perspective?
I think we talk about digital transformation for quite some time, and I'm sure a lot of corporates like DBS has been doing that, and I think the pandemic will just speed it up. Whether it's big corp, SME, they will try to look at how the traditional business can be conducted in a different way for online, and by that, I think big corporate probably would react a little bit slower, especially big giant company. So that create a big opportunity for startups to be more flexible, to be more innovative, to plug the gap by working with the corporate, by trying to bring up some new ideas, how the traditional business could be conducted in different ways. So I could see like a lot of, let's say we're now so convenient to do shopping through online banking and all that. And then we can think of like in the future, how our daily lives could be impacted by using your handheld, using your mobile, using a computer to do it. And then all these opportunities could come out. And then all these young people, we can try to encourage them, especially in the university environment. We try to give them a free environment, more freedom for them to bring some ideas. And then we try to connect them with science park incubators and then corporates, and then bridge them with the ideas that could be applied, that could probably solve some real world problems, or probably can help some SME or corporate to digitize and transform the business.
I think we can see this from two angles. First of all, it got some impact to the startup community, no matter from the company side or from the corporate side, from the business side. So I think from this perspective, Science Park tried to take a more step further by we treat ourselves as a user. We are more open to absorb or use solution from the park. Indeed, we have an initiative called Smart Campus, which is the rationale behind is, okay, you can treat this as a playground for innovation. So for our startup company, they can propose their solution and how we can use it in the park, in the community. And we take a very forward-looking way is to we pay for them and then we install in the campus such that they can collect the real usage comment and feedback, and also collect the data to rebuild their AI library, etc. And then on the other hand, we also see this impact as a reshape of the portfolio of us. Definitely, if you're looking back from the vertical point of view, certain vertical is really a winner in this pandemic. For example, the last mile logistics, the online platform, the service, the predictive maintenance and the predictive analytics for the user behavior kind of business, they are the winner. And indeed, if from the investment side, they are always seeking for good deal. So they may be more picky, but if you are doing a good company, then they are still very popular. That's what we see.
Yeah, so this is the importance of data capture and being able to create this online platform that can facilitate that. Rachel, do you have any comments? No, Rachel's online.
I'd like to respond to a question from Chi. This question is about what actually is missing in Hong Kong if we really want to be a truly leading hub in the region as a startup innovation ecosystem. I think, traditionally, Hong Kong, we really thrive on pragmatism and efficiency. But innovation and entrepreneurship may need a very different culture and mindset other than just pragmatism and efficiency. I'm not saying that these two are not important. They're still important. But very often, innovation is about integrating two very contradictory concepts together. So we need to maintain our efficiency, but at the same time, we need more tolerance for ambiguity. We need more room for experimentation. And we also need maybe more patience to try out new things and be willing to accept that things will not really just work for the first time. We need tons of iteration before a startup can prove their solution can work. And that's why I always say we need more opportunities, we need more demand. And this is not just about changes that can take place overnight. It really takes a whole cultural shift of the whole society.
Thank you, Rachel. And also, we have another question from our chat group, also directed to Rachel's question earlier about having the government involved. The question is, how do you get government to be more proactive and drive innovation beyond just, relying on corporates to take that first step, especially when it comes to giving out funds or other resources, for example? Well, what is your view on that, Rachel, or for any of our panelists here?
Maybe let me try first. There have been a lot of suggestions that in the procurement system of the government, they should give more emphasis to innovation instead of to track record and past experiences. And I know that the government is trying to integrate this kind of consideration in the procurement system. It's a good start, but I guess more has to be done. And also, this friend mentioned the example from the US Department of Energy. We've also seen many different examples from, say, government in this region, like Singapore government. They initiate a lot of projects requiring innovation, requiring innovative solutions from startup to improve the economy, to improve the society. So we don't expect government to really take the lead to innovate as such, but if the government can be more receptive to innovative solution, I think that, or actually take the initiative to encourage the submission of innovative solutions from startup, I think that will help a lot.
Thank you, Rachel. And this is a roundtable discussion, so we also welcome any comments or questions from the audience here. In the meantime, do we have any other panelists' remarks?
Actually, I would like to follow up on the question the audience just mentioned. Indeed, let's take Science Park as an example. The government-run organization role actually gives us a very unique advantage on doing the agent between the corporate and the startup community, because per nature, but we are business neutral. This is our nature. So we are very easy to talk to a different stakeholder, investor, because we didn't take side, okay? We didn't take any benefit between the corporate or the startup side. So we are really easy to talk with different kind of corporate, different industry, pull them together as a pool, as a driver to work on the community. So I think rather than just the whether government direct adopt the solution or not, indeed we can play a very unique role to put different resources together.
Thank you for clarifying that. So as a really key sort of neutral ground to connect other different stakeholders together to really grow that ecosystem. Thank you. Do we have any other questions? If not, we're going to jump into another online question from the chat. This is from, let me see. This is from Morris. How can corporates facilitate training to develop staff's capacity for innovation?
Okay, so I think for ourselves, since we are a Singaporean bank, we in Singapore we have a really how to say a central department that responsible for transformation. We call it DBS Transformation Group. They have this in the innovation department inside this transformation group. They initiate a lot of program like the entrepreneurship I mentioned. I think it always starts from culture change. I think from our Singapore regional office, they started this innovation kind of culture change since I think 3 or 4 years ago already. So a lot of methodology mindset are bringing from external. For example, the design thinking methodology. They are kind of train the trainer. We have all internal trainer to learn the design thinking methodology and then spread over the DBS Bank. And then so every time we run the big project, we really need to use that design thinking methodology. So this actually can allow our colleagues to think of what problem they are really solving at the roots, because design thinking talk about we need to really find what the customer need, what is the true problem in deep there. So I think this kind of program running for a few years, we already see that people not just when the problems come, they never think of okay, let's use the previous solution. We need to evaluate the situation right now. What happens here? Not just using the old solution to put on the new problem. So I think this is a good tool for us to do. And then in terms of innovation, as I mentioned, we have a startup exchange program. And then what we want to do is, as a facilitator in the bank, that in between the fintech startup and also the business unit, to make things smoother. For example, we can help the business unit scope the POC into a scale that is small enough to test the idea and low cost, and then easy to onboard, because all the POC, they won't touch the production environment. They just need to test the concept. And then they can, if the business unit find it really useful, they can build business case to the management, say, hey, can we deploy this solution because we already tested. So we do not want to make the first step really difficult, because at the end of the day, we're business, so they look at numbers. So what we want as a facilitator in between, what we want to do is to ease that pain for the business unit, and then to accelerate all the POC as fast as possible, and then to decide whether we use the solution.
Sounds great. And as you talk about design thinking, I'm also looking at Mikkel's team here from the Explorium. And I know you guys do a lot of work with design thinking and also engaging corporates. Could you share a little bit more about how that process works, and what does your internal staff get out of that? So Maggie will bring a mic over. Thank
Sure.
you, Mikkel.
Okay. putting me on the spot.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Well, I mean, I guess, now in Explorium at the phone group, of course, we do use this a lot, but I've actually, I guess for many years, worked with many companies using this process. I think the problem that Kosby, I think, knows very well is often we're quite aware that we have issues and problems and we need to deal with them, but internally, our teams are having a hard time breaking out their current kind of environment. So I guess what we can do with design thinking is really connect them with the customer, connect them with those problems in a very human way, and show them that it's real, right? So basically, when you're meeting someone who's a customer or who has this problem, you're talking to them, you're kind of reacting to that in real life. That becomes a lot more real than sitting in a boardroom or sitting in a meeting and discussing this. So I think at a very human level, that's a huge part of it. I mean, do we really believe the problem is big enough? Do we really believe that to change, to go through all the pain that we need to go through to change our systems, to actually change positions of people, maybe let go of people and bring new people in, make teams that are cross department, for example. Do we really believe that we will go through all this stuff to solve a problem that someone has in a very abstract way? That's typically the early discussion, and I think that's what Kosby is referring to. So design thinking can help us bring everybody together, really kind of feel and hear that pain, and then actually together, start developing solutions based on what those problems are. And at the end of the day, I mean, what we're seeing is, once it becomes real and once people are actually in that situation again, I guess the empathy, feeling the customer's pain point, the action becomes much stronger. Then you still have a whole bunch of other things you got to do, and you can support it with your NPS numbers or your customer satisfaction, or some of those business cases that actually will talk about new opportunities, how you might actually catch new revenue. But at the end of the day, these are really internal issues. So I think we can do, as sort of a half external team, we can do our part by actually making this real and making it concrete. That's the most important thing. Then the transformation of the business, which is really about changing teams and changing budgets, really, really hard to do in a corporate. That becomes more possible, but it's still nearly impossible. That's very depressing, but that's kind of true. That's kind of true.
No, but thank you for those practical insights. And, if there is power to bringing the organization together, I think that's a very good first step, to having these discussions. But you're right, it's a very comprehensive process that does require,
it's politics at the end of the day.
Multi-stakeholder efforts.
Yeah, I mean, it's not about not understanding that it's painful to send in physical documents. I mean, DBS knows that. It's about that all these people that have to change a lot about what they do have to understand that it's necessary for them to actually stay in a job, let's say in 5 years.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially that empathy part, these human skills are so important as we think about the new economy, especially for jobs that we don't know how it's going to change in the future. Yeah. So thank you for sharing that, Michaela, and for putting you on the spot. Great. So I'm going to go back and perhaps we have time for one more question from the chat group. I'm just going to go and move this along. Okay. This is from Daisy Nicholas. I work for Women's Liberal Arts University in Bangladesh, which supports minority groups across Asia. And, we work hard getting graduates into work placements. However, for her, corporates are often reluctant to take on multicultural talent, and they see it as hard work. How can we change this mindset and break down cultural barriers? It's an interesting question.
Yeah, corporate. I don't really see, because in DBS is quite, different culture work together. Some from Singapore, some from Hong Kong, some from China, some from India. So I think during the interaction, what we want to do is to respect each other's culture, because by more human touch, I think by listening is really the main point. Why they care about this. Sometimes communication got stuck because we do not understand their point of view. I think sometimes we need to hold ourselves, listen to that person from other culture, why it is so important to them, and then think about it. After the meetings, whatever. But if we react instantly to, for example, that culture, then that is so different from you, then you will be very offensive, and then things may not get done. Mm-hmm. I think for us, we learn to listening to different cultural, perspective. But I think this also need, the management also need to embrace this kind of culture that listen to someone that is different from you. Do not just turn them away. I think this can kind of improve with some empathy of other culture. So this can kind of improve the intercultural communication.
And on the other end of the spectrum, Raymond, do you see graduates having difficulties with that, or any challenges when it comes to work placement?
Well, I mean, university environment is just a representation of our society. We have all sorts of students from different backgrounds, from different culture, and I think from PolyU, for example, we have a lot of students coming from, of course, from mainland and also from other international locations. So I mean, in our university, we have a lot of sort of programs and try to integrate them together in terms of how to immerse into like the total university environment. In the past, we didn't quite see how the graduates with different culture or different background could really impact their job hunting or job employability. Rather, I guess, well, I mean, of course, I'm not the, representing corporates, but then I guess even for corporates or potential employers, they may have a preference to take in people that could bring in other perspective, other experience from not just local Hong Kong, but maybe from other areas, and then injecting different types of new thinking, new ideas, and that could be quite much needed in this type in nowadays.
Absolutely, yeah. So this diversity of thought, different experiences and backgrounds.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's actually a key ingredient to creativity as well.
We actually have a question from the floor.
Hi, everyone. I'm Donny from Hong Kong University of Science and Technology. Very happy to have this opportunity to see everyone here, friends and new and old ones. And actually, everyone here is ecosystem builders. And from commercial side, also from education, and also from our government side. So everyone is doing a lot of things, very meaningful, very impactful. But I always have a question for myself and also from my friends. How are we going to make the best use of all the resources and opportunities being done by everyone collectively and to become more effectively, so that we can bring more synergy and more energy and possibilities for everyone, rather than just doing everything by individual sectors and organizations. So we have a chance to have educators here, investors or commercial operator, and also government side. So how are we going to connect everything? How are we going to work together so that we can really bring out a more impactful ecosystem for our Hong Kong development? This is my question. Thank you.
Thank you, Donny.
Maybe I can take it on first. I guess, well, we know each other for quite well, for a long time. So in terms of educational institution, we have a very close relationship, and then we try to also work together. And then, for example, we have a program that is also worked together with Science Park, which is called Hackathon. It's an annual event that almost like 8 universities together with Science Park. And then we bring all our students and young graduates together for 3 days, like type of hackathon, and then form teams that could, with different backgrounds and different disciplines from other universities joining together. And I think all these type of events could break the wall and the silos among all the university together with incubators like Science Park. We also, I think at Poly, we also have programs trying to connect with other ecosystem players like Science Park, Cyberport, and then we jointly incubate, we jointly admit teams to the incubators. We also work together very closely with corporates. We try to connect with different players, different ecosystem stakeholders, and then we hope that we can play at least our own part of
role to contribute to the growth, to get cohesive growth of the ecosystem in Hong Kong.
Donnie, we meet each other for long times. We know each other. So I would like to try to address this question too. I think the question behind your question is how do we define success? Okay, what do we want to achieve? If from our program, from our incubation program, what we want to achieve is we will see successful company really raise from local Hong Kong and then become an international company, become an international regional players. So this is not just this is a question about how do we engage from the talent hunting, acquisition, what kind of support, what kind of industry. So actually in Science Park, we, as Raymond said, we collaborated with various parties along different stages. In university, we work tight with them to see how to turn the smart talent from university, from research to commercialization. And then we offer different kind of support, and the support include the education, the training, I mean, the investor, different stakeholder to grow the company, to help them grow along the path. And then we also engage with corporate to link them up with business. So we see that the path, which we include every stakeholder in the growth plan for the company. But ultimately, we want to see the success of the company from Hong Kong.
Well, thank you very much, Donnie. I think that's all the time we have for this panel and roundtable discussion. So first off, I'd like to give a big round of applause to all the panelists here. And also to both our online and on-site audience for your participation. So we've seen here the importance of nurturing talent across the different continuum of age groups, from tertiary, corporate, and also to young professionals looking to, really build a company. And so I think, as speaking to Donnie's point, I think there is a real need for this ecosystem building, which I understand the Mills has also plans for some exciting opportunities to do that. So without much further ado, we'll end the panel here for on developing entrepreneurial talent. Thank you for participating. Once again, thank you, the Mills, and also Start Me Up HK for making this happen. Thank you.